Welcome to Holly's Rant. Yes, I'm going to rant, and I am going to try to shorten this up as much as possible because this is the 4th time I made this video. My memory runs out. I have a very short memory on this camera. Anyway, I'm going to make this short. I have a very bad fear of needles. Really bad fear of them. Yeah, I can do pretty good right here. Well, freak out, numb me up, I'm good. Anyway, here, no, I freak out. Because I have very, very itty bitty bitty veins right here. On my arm right here. Here too. There's one vein right here you can get blood from if you use one of those really small needles. Okay, just top that off. After my daughter was born, I had a very, very bad experience with bad nurses and needles. Just to make it short, I had an IV here, 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 and here. They knew they couldn't get him here. So this was it. And one nurse blew my IV by flushing it way too fast. The second one literally dripped blood, and the nurse told me it was normal because I was on Coumadin. After a day of dripping blood, a whole bunch of nurses came in. This is after I had my daughter, just not saying I don't think it's now. They came in, and I asked them, I said, hey, is this normal? And they're like, no, not really. And she took a look at it. She clicked. It just needed to be tightened. So anyway, that's the shortest version I can give you. Why now I am on medication and have anxiety from that experience. Okay, so I go have surgery on the 10th of February, gastric bypass, the 10th of February. I get out the 11th of February. I am doing good at home. The only time I called my doctor is because I was a little concerned about the bloating, because I had a little bloating, and then it went down and I bloated. And he said that's normal. He asked me if I did a number 2. I said no. Like, how can I? I haven't had anything solid for I don't know how long. And he says, well, you need to do a number 2. And if you can't do it by tonight, go out tomorrow and get yourself some, I think it was Miralax or something like that, just to help soften it up, I guess. I did, and I thought, I'll give myself one more day. So, on February 14th, on Valentine's Day, I woke up to a call from my dad. Say, Happy Valentine's Day. Hey, and I'm talking to my dad, like, I gotta go. I had to go, poo-poo. So, yeah, I had to share that little tidbit. Warning. Anyway, so I get up, I'm doing stuff with my daughter, we're making little Valentine's cards, and I notice I'm feeling kind of like, whoa, dizzy. Like, I'm really drunk dizzy. It's a little concerning. So I make my shake, I come into my room, I call the Ask the Nurse. Don't call Ask the Nurse. I call them, I tell them, I'm dizzy, blah, blah, blah. She's like, are you short of some breath? And I said, well, not really, but when I'm talking to you, I'm like, and blah, 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 blah. I said, I have to do that. And she's like, well, let me go talk to another nurse. She comes back, she's like, well, we think you should come into the ER because we think you might have blood clots. I'm like, what? I don't feel like I have blood clots. I've had blood clots before. It didn't feel like that at all. I wasn't short of breath or anything. I wasn't going around going, whatever. Anyway, so I go to the ER. Horrible. It's just, nobody really down there knows people who have, they don't know what happens after you have gastric bypass. They just don't know the side effects and stuff. So they guess at some stuff, I think. I think that's what happened. Anyway, so as soon as they come, the doctor comes in and sees me, he says, well, I want to do a CT scan. I'm like, oh, okay, I've done one of those. The nurse comes in, I said, okay, you can put the IV here, or here, or here, or here. You're not going to get one here or here. She's like, well, we have to put it there. We can't do our CT scan unless we put it there. Anxiety starts building up. Terrified of needles, but you know what? I tough it out for the first one. I'm like, okay, you know what? You don't believe me? Go ahead and try to stick me right there. And I have 4 sticks here and 4 sticks here. And every time, except 2 of those times, the needle went in and they fished for a vein. Literally fished. It was the needle was in there. So for 3 hours I did nothing but hyperventilate, freak out, cry, decide I didn't want the test. The doctor said that was fine. He'll do a different test that had blood. That's where one of the things was okay, because I told the nurse, here's where you can get the blood, use this kind of needle. And she did. She listened. But 5 minutes later, the nurse comes in with 2 EMTs, and I'm thinking, oh my God, are they going to hold me down? What's going on? I said the doctor wasn't going to do the test now. He was going to do a different test. Just like, no, with your history, we have to have the CT scan done. And I'm just like, and they had no sympathy or empathy for me at all. They looked at me like, you're a grown woman, get over it, this is just a needle. They didn't understand that this was a fear. I fear these things. When you have a needle in my arm, I am literally, my mind is going, it's on my bone, it's scraping my bone, or the needle's going to break and I'm going to bleed to death. You know, it's just lots of things. I mean, freak me out. I was, oh. So they get one in, and they're like, oh, okay, this one's good. Using an ultrasound, by the way. This is how they found my vein, by using an ultrasound. Way down in there, they found a vein that they dug down in and got. I didn't move that arm. Nurse comes in, the mean one, and she says, we have to give you Ativan in your IV because we can't give you the CT scan unless you're calm. I'm like, okay. She goes to put the Ativan in there, and I noticed that it hurts. I'm like, ow, 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 ow. And she's like, she's looking at me like, what? You know, you're only getting ultra sensitive because, you know, you're having a hard time. Like, she's like, I'll flush it for you. So she goes to flush it, and my whole arm goes like, and I'm like, no, that's not normal. She's like, well, let me go get a different nurse. Another nurse comes in, she moves the IV around a little, and then flushes. I'm like, oh, that wasn't too bad. Go up to the CT scan, and the nurse up there says, this is no good. This IV is no good. Duh. By that time, I'm bawling, I'm praying to God. I'm like, God, please let me be able to get through this. Please let them find something. I had my arms up in the air because, you know, I was on this machine, and they're taking, I'm trying, you know, I'm keeping this one straight because I'm freaked out because of the IV. And this guy, this angel comes in, he says, Holly, let me look at it. I'm not going to poke you or anything unless I see something. So he, you know, does the thing. Bing, bada, boom, it's done. He's got an IV in there. I don't know if it was God or if it was the fact that my arm was up. I don't know, but we got the CT scan done. They, you know, they had to leave this one in just, you know, until after they find out what the tests were, but oh, it was horrible. I didn't have blood clots, by the way. And so the doctor comes in and he says, well, you don't have blood clots. And he's about to leave. I'm like, what about the dizziness? The whole, you know, main reason why I was really, really here. And he says, oh, I think you have vertigo. Well, we'll give you some Valium for that. So anyway, that's my short version of that. So hopefully I don't get cut off here. Anyway, so the next day I thought, you know, I'm going to call this girl I met through another friend who had gastric bypass 7 months ago. And I want to ask